Hello, Nibber. How are you doing? This is Novels and Bits podcast, and I am your host, Chizoba Katie. We've been doing this story from Blood and Ash. This is the fourth part, and I promise that this part will be longer. So let's make it so. I'm recording this really early in the morning. I have to get ready for work after. This was meant to come out yesterday. But if you follow me on socials and maybe you have my number, I put up my WhatsApp status saying that I was really down. I had a really hard day yesterday. And it's that kind of hard day that sapped me of all my energy, both physical and cold. I was sleeping. I was just out of it totally. But I'm grateful for health today. And I'm grateful that we get this chance today and the sacrifices it takes to bring this to you. I'm so grateful that most of all, you're choosing to listen at this point here and now. God bless you. Thank you so much for making all this hard work worth it and knowing that you have so much in your day for spending time with me. Now, let's just go straight into the story. Where we left off in the last episode, we've been doing the story of Poppy, this Penny Laffy lady, and what happened is that she's a maiden of this kingdom of solace, and she's meant to ascend on her 19th birthday. She doesn't even know what that means. You get? So she is secretly trained in fighting, even though part of her many rules, the rules that she's supposed to abide by, is that she should not learn to defend herself. And thanks to the fact that she did not obey that rule, she was able to defend herself when somebody killed her bodyguard and nearly almost killed her. Now, she lives a very boring existence and she has trauma from when certain things attacked her during her childhood. So she has a hard time falling asleep. On one such night, she is awake and then the lit fire torches outside, that's more like security lights of today, but then consider it's burning fire. The thing snuffs out. And then with it, a crawling mist. That mist is a sign that the Kraven are coming. These things that were once human beings. But apparently the Atlanteans, a breed of people known as the Atlanteans, when they bite people, they turn them into those craven things that are mind hungry, bloody, bloodthirsty creatures, the things that nightmares are made of, okay? That's what happens. So when she sees the mist coming, she has like 3 minutes to get out of the castle so that she can help the guards fight. The only thing she's able to just don on is just a cloak over her thin nightgown. And she's wearing shoes that are not even appropriate. She just grabs her bow and arrow. She's off. And she helps the guard. She's shooting. Saves even her bodyguard, Victor, from one of the Craven that almost jumps in from behind. I mean, she's doing a good job. Now, the Cravens, they're mostly all dead, with her effort and the effort of the other guards. And she's trying to get away. But then, Hawk Flane's voice. Hawk Flane is her other bodyguard, who was just recently assigned to her. His voice now comes and said that you must be the goddess Belle or some other kind of goddess. You get? And she does not want him to see her because she's wearing a cloak that covers half her face, right? So she just takes off running, but he gives chase. You get? And he would drag her, he would push, but don't be dragging and pushing because he's just wondering, why are you hiding? Where are you running to? Do you get? But at a point, she kind of corners him and she takes up her dagger. That is this special woven dagger she has that her bodyguard Victor gave on her 16th birthday. Not like she really even has a birthday date. She doesn't know of her birthday date. But Victor was like, just pick any random birthday. We can start your birthday. So she picks an April something. You get? I don't know how people don't know her birthday. Or she doesn't even know her own birthday. That aside, she now carries a dagger, places it against Hawk's neck. And Hawk recognizes that dagger because in the beginning of our story, she went to this Red Pearl Inn, and when Hawk saw that dagger, he was like, "Oh, this is a unique dagger," and he took it and stabbed it into the foam and beside her. So he has seen that dagger before, right? So seeing it now, he recognizes her as the lady from Red Pearl, the one that he asked to wait for him, and she left. Do you understand? So she's been found out in that aspect, but what about the other aspects? I mean, does he also know that she is a maiden he's protected? That's what and that thing that she doesn't want him to find out. At least if he still just knows her as a lady from the Red Pearl, it's okay. You understand? But let him not know her as the maiden he's protecting, the one he's assigned to watch over, because he's seeing the maiden's face now as per her bodyguard. Okay? So that's where we ended things. So realizing her mistake as well, oh my gosh, I just showed this dagger to someone who recognizes it because he called her princess. And that's what he called her, the red pearl, when she refused to give her name. She withdraws the dagger, but he catches her hand holding the weapon, informing her that they need to talk. She now makes her third mistake by snapping at him. We have nothing to talk about. And how by talking, you know, at this point, it's still tentative whether he remembers the voice of the woman at the red pearl. But by her talking, why still cloaked? She has finally given him all the evidence that the lady from the red pearl and the maiden his bodyguarding is one and the same person. Do you understand? Because obviously, he now knows her voice. But even with her speaking, she's surprised that he's still flirting because she was thinking that, oh, once he realizes I'm the maiden, he will back off. No, Oga is still flirting while holding her hands away from his throat. She's now thinking to herself, is it that he doesn't recognize my voice or is my voice so common? Her Hawk continues though, he's accusing her of being reckless by being out here on the rise, that the guards are not desperate enough to need your help, and that sparks her anger. She now asks him, desperate? Why would my presence on the rise signal desperation when, as you've seen, I know how to use a bow? Oh, wait, is it because I happen to have breast? So he now replies, I've known women with far less beautiful breasts that would cut a man down without so much as blinking an eye. But none of those women are here in Macedonia. She would have liked to ask him, okay, where is this group of women you're talking about? They sound amazing, okay? Because she doesn't know that women fight. Because in this world, most women can't defend themselves. So Poppy now continues telling Hawk, well, you can't tell me all that because you know nothing about me. But he places his hand on her right unmarred cheek, her right cheek that doesn't have the scars. He now tells her that he knows more than she thinks. She holds her breath. Do you really think I have no idea who you are? You have nothing to say to that? This is Hawk talking. And his voice is barely above a whisper when he now confirms her worst fears, Penny Laffy. Do you understand? He now says, do you think I have no idea who you are? Penny Laffy. You know, he leans in and says her name. She now has mixed feelings. He asks her to hurry back to her chambers where they'll finish this conversation later. And this guy has such an authoritative, commanding tone. Why? He asks like everybody should listen to me once I say move. That's the vibes he be giving, okay? Tawny, that is Poppy's lady in waiting. This, her lady in waiting is also a lady in wait as far. She's a rich man's daughter, boss. Because she's a second daughter, she's given to the court so that by the time she's 19, she will ascend to, she's part of when Poppy then will ascend. But why Tawny them know what they're ascending into? Poppy does not know. So this Tawny's Poppy's friend and lady in wait. She's waiting in Poppy's room when Poppy comes back. And Poppy's now honest to Tony about how bad it was. That is, there were so many cravens and they've reached the top of the rise. A lot of black flags will be raised the next day for the deceased. Also, many guards might have been beaten. And that always happens every time after attacks. I don't think she actually tells Tony that part so that she doesn't worry more. Now, they're both seated on her bed and she's still in her thin nightgown when there is a knock. Tony wants to turn Hawk away because there's one at the door, saying that Poppy is asleep. But Hawk pushes in. Hawk now kicks the door shut behind him. He now tells her, it's time for that talk, princess. Poppy's thinking to herself, oh my gosh, standing in my chambers with his booted feet, braced shoulder width apart, curve of his jaw hard, Hawk reminded me so very much of Theon, the god of accord and woe. She just tells him, you shouldn't be in here. He now tells her, I'm a personal guard. I can be wherever I feel I am needed to keep you safe. As far as I can determine, other than a random abduction attempt, you, princess, are the greatest threat to yourself. Tony, betrayer she is agreeing with him. Like, yes, I agree with you. I've been telling Poppy to let her stay put. Hawk dismisses Tony, like, oh, please, Tony. You know, he's actually polite about it. Let me have a private conversation with Poppy. So as Tony leaves, Hawk now says, I like your friend, Tony. He compliments Poppy's hair, though. That is because her hair is unbound. Mostly her hair is actually tied and tucked up when she wears her veil. So nobody really knows her hair color or anything. But right now, he's seen her when she's ready for bed, right? So her hair is like down and it's showing, okay? So he now says something that she finds, I don't know, strange or maybe common because most people don't know the maiden. So he just says, you're nothing like I expected. Not her knowing how to fight or her being there at the red pill. And most importantly, her compassion. He wasn't expecting that from her. He now tells her, you're the maiden. You're viewed as the child of the gods by the commoners. They see you higher than an ascended. But I know you are compassionate. That night at the Red Pearl, when we talked about that, you genuinely felt sympathy for any losses I'd experienced. It wasn't a forced nicety. She now asked him, how do you know? He now answers back, I'm a good judge of people's words, because he now goes telling her more evidence of her compassion. You wouldn't speak out of fear of being discovered, like of me discovering that you are the same person. But when I refer to Tony as your maid, you defended her at the risk of exposing yourself. And I saw you. So she's now wondering, when you say you saw me, where did you see me again? He now tells her that the conceal, that it was obvious that Poppy didn't agree with the Duke and Duchess. That time that couple that had a third child came and begged, can they keep their third child? Because the first and second died from with wasting disease. It's weird for him how he feels like he's known Poppy longer. And he knows for certain that she feels it too. I feels like we've known each other for a far longer time. But then the main matter of why he came to her room now. Why were you on the rise? That question leads her to talking about when her and her parents left the capital. She was barely 6 years old. They lodged at an inn in a village that hasn't seen a craven in years. But somehow that craven came to them that night. It got to her parents. She should have been safe in the hiding place. But she couldn't stay put. She noted nobody there knew how to fight. If they had known how to fight, perhaps things might have ended differently. Fear made her learn how to fight. He now replies, fear and bravery are often one and the same. It either makes you a warrior or a coward. The only difference is the person it resides inside. You saved lives tonight, princess. Now, cravens, basically, I never ending plague. That's what she's now complaining. That so long as an Atlantean lives, there'll be cravens because that's what they've been taught all their lives. That it's Atlanteans' bites that creates cravens. So he just replies, that's what they say. And she's now looking at him like, what do you mean that's what they say? But she doesn't actually pursue that thought. Now, the last thing he brings up is her part in helping people die with dignity. He knows about it too. That the guards whisper about it. She's scared. Oh my God, if you know that I help people pass with dignity, that infected people, I kill them before they turn fully craven so that they will not be burned alive and all those things. She's scared they'll report her to the Duke. But Hawk knows that they won't. They regard her with such awe that he actually expected her to be a god. They told him of this because he has also helped beaten people die with dignity. So he's also part of the network. Remember, they don't know most people in that network of people that help people die with dignity. So him now says, those who came back cursed have already given all for the kingdom. Being treated as anything other than the heroes they are and being dragged in front of the public to be murdered is the last thing they or their family should have to go through. Before he leaves, he asks for one thing. She expects that he would ask her not to risk her life again, don't go out there again, be safe, like every other person keeps asking her. Instead, what he says is, the next time you go out, wear better shoes and thicker clothing. Those slippers are likely to be the death of you because she's wearing one dainty satin slippers. And he now tells her, and that dress, as per her nightgown, that it's all, sheer and, flimsy. And that dress, the death of me. So wear better shoes, better clothes, please. That's what he asked her. Now, the next day, it's an assembly of the people. The Duke and Duchess are addressing them. He's now telling them, we didn't fail you, but the gods are unhappy. That is why the craven reached the top of the rise. We have spoken to them. They are not pleased with recent events here and in nearby cities. And as the Duke is talking, people's faces are paling and is graying. So he now keeps talking. They fear that the good people of Solis have begun to lose faith in their decisions and are turning to those who wish to see the future of this great kingdom compromised. The Duke continues his speech, and his words are full of accusations for the people. Nothing about it is inspiring calm to a troubled people. So he keeps talking. And one of the things that the Duke says is, when those the gods have done all to protect come before us, questioning the rights, how would they be happy? As per this, a bab at that couple that came to ask for to keep their third child. What can anyone expect when there are those who wish to see us dead? When we are the gods given form, and the only thing that stands between you and the dark one, and this curse his people have cast upon this land. And yet, that's what Poppy is noting to herself. Not a single ascended. They claim to be the gods that are given form. Yet, not a single ascended, not the Duke or the Duchess, or any of the lords or leaders, has ever raised their hand to defend the rights. All of them are faster and stronger than any god. Poppy imagines they would take down double the amount of cravens she had with the bow. And just like Hawk had said, they had a higher likelihood of surviving an attack. Yet, they don't do that. So in the midst of the Duke talking, Poppy's senses opens and she begins sensing terror, anger, other emotions besides pain she normally felt in the past. Because through most of Poppy's life, she can only sense when somebody's feeling pain or anguish. She can't sense if you're feeling other emotions, right? But suddenly she's sensing terror, anger. And she's like, whoa, why am I sensing all those things? I didn't used to sense all those things before. It's overwhelming and she's staggering. You get, it's even Hawk's comments that kind of restores her balance because standing beside her as per her guard in this assembly, he now says, this is perhaps the least calming speech ever given after an attack. So as he says that thing, because he has this humor thing that she just look at him and like, yo, dude, the way you have a way of saying the things on my mind. You get that kind of funny humor moment that restores her to balance, sort of. There is a blonde person, one blonde man like that in the crowd. He's wearing a cape that Poppy recognizes from that weekly conceal meeting before. She recognized the person because he looks so displaced more than the others. Right now, he's wearing a blank expression, and there are others like him. So by the time Poppy turns to inform Victor and Hawk, apparently Hawk has already been watching the person for 20 minutes. You know, that's how attentive he is. Like, oh yeah, I've been watching for the past 20 minutes. She's like, oh, okay. Is that a lot? The blonde man now surges forward. The blonde man talks back to the Duke. You do nothing to protect us while you hide in your castles, behind your guards. You do nothing but steal children in the name of false gods. Where are the third and fourth sons and daughters? Where are they really? So he throws something in the Duke's direction, who moved fast. And then it comes Poppy's way because the Duke ducked away from whatever it is that was thrown at him. So that thing comes Poppy's way. Hawk gets her away from that stuff, like pulls her away before the thing can reach her. And it's a Craven's hand. Either cut off from one of the Craven or from a cursed who turned within the rise. That is within the city. In the privacy of Poppy's room, Hawk is now asking her what happened to her back there. As per why did you stagger? What was with that? She lies that she didn't eat well enough and she was weak because she can't tell him of her gifts. She's still wearing her veil. He just says that I don't like talking to your veil. She knows she can take it off. So they will just have a proper conversation, but she doesn't want to because she wants to. It's that kind of thing of, I feel like showing this person who I am more and more, but I can't do that. It's not like we have a future. I'm the maiden. So for that reason, she keeps the veil on. He interprets that to be a sign that she is cutting him off. So he returns to standing guard outside, gives her privacy. She stays with the veil covered over her face until she no longer wants to remove the veil, right? Then she removes the veil. Is that kind of, she did what she did not want to. She wanted to remove the veil, so she kept it on. When she now wanted to keep the veil on, she removed it. Because she's trying to teach herself, I shouldn't want things that are out of my reach. I'm the maiden. I don't have the same life as every other person, that sort of thing. The following day, Poppy and Victor, they go to the Duchess's quarters. Poppy wants to inquire what's happened with her gifts, that no one other than the temple staff and her guardians are actually supposed to know about her gifts. Poppy rarely ever comes to the Duchess for anything. When the Duchess learns it's about her gifts, she now asks Poppy, you are using your gifts? You know the gods have forbidden you to do so. Not until you have been found worthy of such a gift are you to use it. Excuse you? You gave me a gift and I have to be worthy to use the gift. So I should be looking at it. You understand? Most of the things that these ascendants say are just bullswash, really. It's just complete bullswash. Now Poppy just tells the Duchess, it just happens. When I'm in a large crowd, I have trouble controlling it. So Poppy just came to ask the Duchess, my gift is maturing. Did you know if that happened to the former maiden too? Duchess admits that, well, Poppy, your gift is maturing. It's normal. But the Duchess cautions against informing the Duke about it. It has to do with the first maiden that no one ever talks about. The first maiden apparently wasn't found unworthy, but her actions put her on a path that led to the Dark One killing her. So apparently the first maiden was killed by the Dark One. The Atlantean Dark One. So that whole thing has Poppy scared. What does that mean for me? Will I also put myself on a path that I'm going to get killed, just like the other person did? Poppy is in the weekly meeting she normally has with the Priestess. She's always made to read chapters of history books. Today, her audience is Hawk, and is making her self-conscious. A particular pronunciation of Solace that the Priestess is always changing keeps coming up. Like she said, oh, the kingdom of Solace. The Priestess is not no, it's not pronounced Solace, it's pronounced Solace. Just one of those random things. The Priestess in every class is always changing how that pronunciation is supposed to sound like. Hawk now interrupts the whole Priestess correcting thing, saying that Poppy's initial pronunciation is correct. Hawk now defends it, saying, my family originates from the Foundlands, not too far from Pompeii, before the area was destroyed and became the wastelands we know today. My family and others from that area have always pronounced the mountain range as the maiden first said. The language and accent of those from the far west can be difficult for some to master. The maiden, however, appears to not fall into that group. In quotes, is also praising her, right? Priestess doesn't take kindly to this. Like, who are you to correct me? Poppy continues reading. There's a part where they explain the first blessing. Apparently, the king and queen drank the blood of the gods. Poppy winced, and the princess caught on. And in careful words, Poppy now has to explain to the princess that, oh, I winced because what the Atlanteans do and how Ascended are formed are not dissimilar. They both drink blood, right? Both the Ascended and the Atlanteans. It's similar, right? But then the priestess sees this thing as an insult. Poppy now demands to know what would happen if she doesn't ascend. Would it stop others from ascending? And would gods refuse to give their blood? You understand? She's just basically curious and asking, what would happen if I don't? Da, 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 da. Next thing, Priestess whips out her hand to slap Poppy. It's not a new occurrence. The priestess is always hitting her. But the slap never lands as Hawk holds back the priestess's wrist. Nobody has ever did this, none of her gods. The priestess is now shouting at Hawk, how dare you touch me? Hawk shouts back at her, how dare you lay a single finger on the maiden? At that moment, Poppy wants to hug him because the priestess looks utterly disgraced. No one has ever stepped up for Poppy before. Is a first. And in as much as she's grateful that Hawk stepped up for her, she's worried not only that she'll be reported to the Duke, but that Hawk will be punished as well. The rite is only 2 days away from this time that Poppy is here in this meeting with the priestess, in this our weekly meeting. And this is the first time that Poppy is going to be attending the rite. She's not been allowed to attend in years following up to this. Priestess ends the meeting claiming that she has to oversee the rite preparations. She's just trying to find a reason to get away. So Poppy learns from Hawk that he's not the kind of person who would stand aside and see others get hurt for no reason. If that behavior is acceptable, then the world is messed up. Hawk now asks Poppy, would you escape your ascension? Hawk just promises that he's not going to stop her, that he just watched curiously to see how she does it. This honor of being maiden severely limits her life. She doesn't want to think about punishment to come, as far would definitely be punished for what just happened here today. So she changes the topic. So Poppy admits to Hawk that she's never been to a rite before, that what can she expect? He now tells her, well, there's talking, there's drinking. It's after the rite where things can get interesting. You know how it is. She's heard bits about the interesting from Tony, but she can't imagine the Ascended being that way, as they always feel so cold, maybe sensual or something. Something about being behind a mask is perhaps what emboldens people, because this right, everybody's wearing red and they're wearing a mask. So most of the time you can't know who is who. So Hawk brings up the night at Red Pearl, and that has her deflecting again. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. At first, she's distracted by the butterflies in the garden. Hawk believes that between both of them, she'll be safe out there if she wants to go. That is, if she wants to go to the garden. But she just tells him not now, because that was where her guard Rylan was killed. She now asks about his family. He now tells her that he had a brother. Her senses open. And she now feels like, okay, this might be the root of his pain, his lost brother. She pretends to squeeze his hand in comfort, but actually what she does is eases his agony as per thinks of happy things and transfers that energy to him. He laughs softly and admits that he just had the strangest feeling, that he just feels like his burden just feels lighter, that he feels really good. He gets. So they go back to the room. Next day, she's bored out of her mind inside her room. She sneaks out to the library because she has not asked Tony to help her get that book, that Miss Willa's book that those other two ladies in wait were talking about when they were at the atrium. So Poppy sneaks out to the library to get a copy of Miss Willa Collins' diary. She didn't want to return to her dreary room with the books. Just like, oh, let me just read here in the library later. She found a cozy spot. And it's odd, there's a liquor cabinet there. What's the liquor cabinet doing in the library? But then she's alarmed when she hears the Duke's voice, like from outside the door. She has to perch on the window ledge, outside of the window. You know, window ledges, it's normally outside the window. Normally, beds will perch on that place. You just look it up, please. Just get what I'm trying to say. So Poppy has to perch on that thin place, just so she can be outside of the room, so the Duke does not sense she's inside there in the library. And that's when the liquor cabinet now makes sense. All right? And it's perilous that she's even there on that place because she might fall. Poppy overhears the Duke's conversation with the guard about the blonde that threw the Craven's hand. The only information they've been able to obtain is that the hand was from a cursed guard. Duke knows of the people that grant these cursed people death with dignity. He wants to know those that are involved in that association. When the Duke and the person he's talking to, when they leave the room, Poppy hears the lock of the room turn, that is, which indicates someone else is inside. She now hears Hawk's voice and said, Penelope, I knew you are here. So he sits on the window ledge. He wants to help her in, but she's like, no, 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 I'm going to find my way inside. He's annoyed. He now calls her puppy for the first time. She now ducks down. He moves incredibly fast. Next thing, the hands are around her waist and brings her feet down, through the window inside. Their bodies are separated by that journal she's holding. From keeping her in place, the hold shifts to embracing her. Her eyelashes flutter. He leans down and she shuts her eyes, expecting a kiss. But he just asks her, how did you leave your room? She feels foolish because she wanted a kiss, but to him, this is a way to get answers out of her. Just embrace it. He explains that he was bored out of his mind in the passageway and thought she was feeling bored too. So he checked in on her to see if she wanted company. As Aspa came inside her room. That's how he found her gone. She's shocked. None of her past guards ever would come inside her room to check if she needed company because that would be, in quotes, familiar. He asked again, how did you get on the ledge? And she now has to reenact the tale. That's how she now admits to him that there is a servant's passageway, and that's how I sleep out. He now asks, who else knows about this servant passageway? She just said, hey, don't worry, I lock it from within. She can be abducted through it. Hawk takes the journal out of her hand and she's burning with embarrassment. He won't give it back. Poppy now defends herself and said, there's nothing wrong with me written about love. He now tells, oh, but I don't think what she is writing about has anything to do with love. She now tells him, oh, so you're an expert on this now. He just tells her, more so than you, I imagine. She was like, that's right. Your visits to the Red Pill have been the talk of many servants and ladies in wait. So I suppose you do have a ton of experience. He just tells her, someone sounds jealous. She's like, jealous. She asks him if he's ever been in love. He replies that he has, but it's been a long, long time ago. She shakes her head and says, well, both of you must have been children because she estimates he's about 2 years older than her. Her brother's Ian's age mate. Her brother is in the capital. He now starts reading the journal out loud. It is mortifying because it's kind of like a sex journal. Like imagine an erotica. That's how it sounds like. And she's like, can you stop? So when he's done, he wants to take her back to her room. And he now tells her, well, I expect a summary of each chapter starting from tomorrow. She knows that they're never going to talk about the journal again. So whatever he's saying, that's his own. She wonders how he found her though. Like nobody would have found me here. So how did you know where I was? He now admits he has incredible tracking skills. Now this is the night of the rites. Everybody's wearing red. Poppy's gown is beautiful. And this is the first time she's trying it out because they just made the dress for her, for this right thing. And it's the first time she's wearing a color other than white. Now, the crimson gossamer sleeves shaded just enough to hide the scars on her inner arms. They are long and flowing. It has a delicate lace edge at the cuffs. The flimsy fabric is opaque at the breast and down to her thighs. Then the gown skimming her cuffs and shielding those areas. The skirt is loose and a thicker band of gossamer crazy illusion of tears. Tears like layers, step every few inches, but everything else is as translucent as a nightgown. I had to use Canva to get a picture of how this gown probably looks like. And they gave me some options, which I'm going to share today on my socials. So please look forward to it. Poppy goes to the hall with Tony and Victor. They're all in mask. Hawk is expected to join them there. And I had to just pound out the idea that Hawk is coming. However, there's a creepy voice of Lord Maxine, that one that was touching Poppy inappropriately, and he used to be in the room whenever the Duke is punishing Poppy. His creepy voice calls behind her, Maiden. So apparently, even though she's wearing a different colored dress and a mask, he recognizes her. Of course he does. So this is where we pause today. Let us see what the creepy Lord has in wait, has prepared for Poppy and how this all ends. Trust me, you do not want to miss next episode. Things really pick up from there. It really picks up. All right? And like I promised, this episode is longer than usual. And I'm going to promote it twice as hard as usual. So let's maybe just get 20 lessons before the next episode. I think that would be so cool. Just 20 downloads. All right. Thank you so much. See ya. Tell someone about the podcast. Leave a comment. I love you, neighbor. Bye.